Computer. Hello and good morning. We are coming off of a morning of a little slight technical difficulties. So this is our LinkedIn Live on a native video in LinkedIn. So hello, my name is Diana Lowe.
And I'm Sandy Benz.
And we're from Blue Light Leadership, and we're so excited to have you here. Today, we will be talking about authenticity. So our topic today is Get Real at Work, Unlock Your Authenticity. And really, when we were dreaming up these topics and we were thinking about, what should we bring to add value, really, to your working day, to your leadership skills, to your life skills, we were thinking about authenticity. So what is authenticity? So authenticity is not really about our identity or who we show up as. It's really more about the behaviors in which we connect with other people. So it's about openly and effectively expressing ourselves. It's about honoring our commitments and how people are receiving us honoring our commitments and what we say. And then also it's about encouraging this behavior in other people. So Sandy, I would love to know today, who do you think this conversation is appropriate for?
Well, when I say this, you're probably going to say, yeah, this could be me, because authenticity is something we can all work on, including myself.
Agreed.
And yeah. So basically, I would say three types of leaders for the most part. Leaders who leaders who feel the need to be perfect. See, right there, I made a mistake. I'm not going to feel bad about it. I stumbled, but that's okay, right? That's part of being authentic.
I love it. It's true, because when you're too perfect, it creates a lot of like I can't be like that person, right? So there's no human connection there. I agree.
Right. And then if we don't feel like we're perfect, then we feel like there's an imposter syndrome if we feel the need to be perfect. So that's one important thing, is for people who feel like they've got to be perfect on stage in front of people, just let's help you chill a little bit on that.
I love that. I love it. Maybe we could sell like chill pills, like leader.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a form of meditation. So
Yeah.
another type of leader who would benefit from this is people who are afraid of feedback, and they actually might see it as threatening, or it might scare them. And people might tell you as a leader, or tell others as a leader, that they tend to be defensive when they receive even constructive feedback, but they may not even be aware that they're looking defensive. So that's the kind of leader that would benefit from today as well, because being authentic is about being receptive to feedback as well.
Yes, totally. Those are for those disc lovers out there. These are the high I's, potentially even high S's, really people who love people. But then when there's some sort of like conflict that enters, they feel really like, I don't want to destroy these relationships. So yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
So, and is there a third one we want to?
Yeah. The other type of leader who might benefit from today is someone who listens and asks questions a lot, which is great, but they don't divulge their own information as much. They don't share personal hobbies or stories or interests. It's almost as if they're putting on a facade, like, I'll listen to you and get to know who you are, but you're not going to get to know me. I'm going to hold my cards close to my chest. That's the type of leader who would benefit from today.
Awesome. So now that we know the leaders that would benefit, maybe you identify it in yourself, like Sandy said, or maybe you can see it in other people in your organizations if you're responsible for culture. So today we're really going to talk about how our roadmap, we've introduced this in the first session. We talked about it last time as well. And this is our third session. So our roadmap is really an easy way for us to understand the foundation of a successful place to start thinking about this, and then moving towards action. So in this 20-ish minutes, we're a little bit later than normal, but we'll upload it and you can watch it on your own time. We're going to talk about our roadmap, which is our mindset. And that's really getting that foundation and reframing the skills that we're talking about today to make sure that they work for you and that you're doing it in a state that is productive. And then so for mindset, it's really the reason why we do something. And that really informs our behaviors. and over time, our habits and our performance. So mindset, as I said, skill set, and then get set and go. So today I am going to have the pleasure of interviewing Sandy. Sandy is our team's guru. She is well-versed in government, working for governments, local governments, federal governments. She's worked for, I mean, you name it, she's worked there, right, Sandy?
Yeah,
You have
in private industry as well, and yeah, nonprofits.
private, I was going to say private, nonprofit. So she's got a lot of experience in working with groups and intact teams. So today we're going to talk about, ask her questions about authenticity and her experience as a coach and a trainer. So let's start with mindset. Let's start with that. Sandy, how would you describe the mindset for authenticity?
So the mindset is super important actually for authenticity, because we need to have that right paradigm or perspective, or we need to reframe our thinking before we change our behavior. So, sometimes when people feel the need to act a certain way, if it doesn't come across authentic, people can kind of see right through it. So it really comes from the inside out. So this mindset is to say, what do I need to do to start with my character or my substance to really understand why I'm doing what I'm doing? For example, if I'm asking for feedback, am I doing it just because I think I should and it sounds good? Or do I really want to learn from that feedback? Do I really care about what other people are suggesting? Um, and if we don't do this, then not only do we look unauthentic, but we also could affect the trust. People, they know that there's something else under the surface and they learn not to trust you. So another part of mindset is understanding why it's important in terms of trust building. So trust is a big deal here. With remote workplaces, people don't often trust if they don't know people enough, and we tend to, again, look on cameras and kind of, look like we're supposed to be a certain way. I love it that I can talk to my colleagues and we can be very real on Zoom. And that creates psychological safety because we're basically role modeling. Hey, it's okay to make a mistake. Let's admit it. It creates a sense of we're in this together, as opposed to I'm, you versus me, or I'm evaluating you or you're evaluating me. It's really, hey, listen, you know what? I flubbed up. Let's make a mistake. What would you recommend? Let's laugh about this. Let's move on and do even better. That kind of thing.
I love that, because as you were describing that, I'm thinking it's like an actor on a stage acting a part. So like if we're acting like a leader, but then we go off stage and we are our other parts of ourselves,
Mhm.
it's, and people just see you on stage. At some point, they're going to see you off of stage. So are we the same person on stage as we're off stage? And sometimes, for example, to ourselves, our behaviors may be authentic, right, Sandy? And so I might be let's say, like I'm a very friendly person. To another person, that might seem unauthentic because that's the paradigm they're looking from. So that's why it's really important to understand. I mean, you know that I love DISC, so it's important to understand people's behaviors and see the benefits of different ways of being. I wish they taught that in school, Sandy. I wish they taught that to our kids.
You're so right about this, because this is again the stuff they don't teach you in kindergarten, so to speak. It's the life lessons that we learn sometimes when it's too late and we've made a ton of mistakes and we've kind of breached a lot of trust along the way. So we're going to talk a little bit about skills that will help you build the trust, but also in doing so, you'll build the authenticity.
I
So
love that. Yes. So yes, let's go to skills. So Sandy, we just talked about authenticity. We talked about like the mindset we should have for bringing our best self out and that best behavior. So tell me let's focus on the skill set, and like, what should we be focusing on with regards to skills or building engaging skills?
Okay, great question, Diana. In fact, oftentimes it's good to contrast what are the skills in someone who's not authentic versus someone who is authentic. So, for example, someone who's low in authenticity tends to be too much of a perfectionist. They focus on how others are performing versus creating a you and me mentality that says that we're in this together. When they give feedback, they tend to be defensive. They tend to blame. And for a leader, this can create huge distrust and a sense almost that you might retaliate if they give you honest feedback again. That's really bad.
And so that'll shut a team down. That'll make people work around a person. That will make that person's career derail if they're very unaware of this. And they could be unaware of it. It's very easy to be unaware of it,
Well,
right?
sure. Yeah, well, exactly. We all have blind spots, but isn't it nice when we have someone who can give us some feedback and say, hey, you might not have realized this, but you came across this way, and I'm sure that's not what you intended. I love that kind of feedback because someone cares enough to give me the gift of feedback and help me improve.
And
Mhm.
it's true. And oftentimes it's really the way it's delivered, right? So if it's delivered in a way that will close our ears, then
Right.
how are we supposed to take that on, right? Because we've shut down. But it can be delivered, like you just noted, in a
Right.
way that we can go like, okay, I can take this on and I can do better. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
But what's the contrast?
Okay, the contrast is people who are high in the skill of authenticity. These are people who not only come across or look genuine, I mean, they are genuine. That's what authenticity is about, right? So oftentimes these people will do that naturally through different ways that resonates with them. For example, they might tell stories like instead of just saying, here's what we need to do and why we need to do it, it's like, let me tell you the impact it had on this one person I spoke with and or how it impacted me when I was growing up, or here's why I got into this field because I had this experience. Those types of stories help people connect with you. And so the sense of connection is where people feel like they can start trusting you. Also,
Yes.
another positive skill in dealing with in not only appearing authentic, but truly being authentic is being truly, sincerely receptive and even appreciative of feedback. So it's not just not coming across just defensive and being quiet because that could close people down too. It's more like, oh, tell me more. Okay. Oh, I'm glad you're telling me this. Okay. Let me make a note of this. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for telling me this. This is just what I need to know because I've been trying to work on this. Something that says, I'm not perfect and I'm trying to improve. And thank you for helping me. It's that
And
type
doing
of
something, right? And doing something about it.
thank you. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah,
That's huge.
exactly. Yeah.
So, because
And
that feels
also,
fake when somebody says, "Oh yeah, thanks for the feedback," but then does nothing with it. Or
yeah,
at least if they plan on doing nothing with it, they can say, I've thought about it. It doesn't seem like I'm going to do this, and have that conversation. And that takes a lot of courage. So I kind of see authenticity and courage as uh, together. What do you think?
exactly. In fact, speaking of courage, imagine that people are bringing or doing a presentation and they're trying to talk about how good a certain product is or certain services, or they're trying to influence others. Then they start, if they added a story in there, or if they went ahead and said, here were my ahas as to why we're doing things differently, or here's my lessons learned. It's okay to go ahead and share those lessons because people, again, not only resonate with you, but they're learning from your mistakes. And again, it brings a sense of we're in this together kind of mentality. So yeah. But Diana, I'm kind of curious in the remote workplace, from your perspective, what are some other skills that would support authenticity, especially during online meetings?
Yeah, I love this. Good question. So I'm supposed to be questioning you today, though.
Oh, sorry.
No, I love this
Yes,
because
sir.
I think really the authenticity part is about really getting to know the people outside of just the Zoom meetings, right? So finding interesting and um, non-work ways to get to know the people who you spend so much time with. And
Mhm.
I think that's really about authenticity. So what do they do when they're not in your Zoom room or in their uh, can you meet up? Is that a possibility? Or is it something that maybe you do together? I just met a woman who does remote team leagues, and I thought that was so cool. So is there like something that you could bond over together that's not work? And that creates a feeling of trust, and really authenticity comes from the uniqueness of self, right? And so
Mhm.
I think for remote leaders, it's especially important to be intentional with these important relationships. So yeah,
Yeah. And
thank
by
you.
the way, can I just say that sometimes our backgrounds, we have sometimes people have a fake background because they don't want to show their real background. But if we kind of show a little bit of our own background, it kind of talks about who we really are, right?
Oh, I love that. It's true. And also it gets to know like sometimes people were working from different countries and it can open up a conversation. So, oh, where are you today? Or that looks beautiful. I see there, like I worked with somebody who had like an orange grove behind in their seat. I was like, where are you? And they were in Northern California working remotely. So it's just a really cool way to get to know someone. And I think it's easier than we think with remote work. So yeah, good question. Thank you. The tables are turned now. I'm going to ask you. So we've discussed mindset, we've discussed skill set, and let's talk about get, set, go. How do we start putting this into practice now?
So, okay, I'm going to give the people who are listening, I have two thoughts. One is, how do you share information? And the second is, how do you ask for and receive information?
Yes.
So when it comes to sharing information, here are some tips to start right away practicing your authenticity. And that is to keep note of significant things that do not work out for you as planned or mistakes that you make. Now, most people would like to forget about that. I say capitalize on it. Go ahead and write it down, think about it, and practice discussing those opportunities with others. And then when you talk with them, focus on the learning and the insights that you gained. Just practice that kind of conversation. So that's
That
one.
takes courage. That takes courage.
And you've mentioned now that twice, and I think you're absolutely right. But courage is good because there's a sense of what I like to think of as leadership courage. Leadership courage is exactly what we're talking about here. So perfect.
Love it. I love it. How about the second one?
Yeah. So the second one is how we ask for and receive information. So this is something you can practice maybe with people that you feel comfortable about with first before you go ahead and seek feedback from people that you're not as comfortable with first, is seek feedback from others on a topic. For example, ask them, hey, I'm working on this project and I'm trying to get some ideas about this. What are your thoughts? Treat others like they're your consultant. Ask for their advice. But then also give people time to prepare and give their examples to you or their ideas. I mean, don't just rush them. I mean, really listen, give them space to come up with their thoughts and ideas, because sometimes we put them on the spot. And then also when you're receiving that feedback, and let's say they're giving you feedback on something you might have done that you didn't realize and it was a blind spot that they're addressing, remember, first of all, it's the gift of feedback that they're giving you. Second of all, urge or avoid the urge to agree or disagree, and simply
That's
express
hard.
interest and appreciation for what they're sharing. In other words, you don't have to say, "Oh, I know what you mean," or "Oh, wait a minute, I don't understand." No, just you can just say, "Okay, let me take some notes. This is good." And in other words, I'm just basically saying how you ask for and receive feedback significantly impacts your trustworthiness, your authenticity, and in turn, your effectiveness as a leader.
Love that. I think there's two words that you just need to say when you get feedback. Thank you. Just leave it at
Yes,
that, right?
perfect.
Not good, not bad. We don't agree with it, but they're giving it from a certain perspective. It could be helpful, it could be harmful, right? So we
Mhm.
need to take that into uh, with a grain of salt. I think
Yeah.
all feedback should be a grain of salt. So this has been great. So now you have the mindset of authenticity, how you should be thinking about this. Then really it's about the skill set of authenticity. We looked at what behaviors really matter here. And then finally, get set go. So think about how you're receiving feedback. Think about how you're really charting your mistakes or challenges you're having. And also that's a great place where growth happens. So thank you so much, Sandy. I can't wait for our next topic. This is going to be hopefully next live on LinkedIn. Here you see it as a video. It'll be here on YouTube as well as in LinkedIn. And our next session will be next Wednesday at 8 p.m. on April 26th. And it will be called, our topic is Making Smart Decisions Together. And we are so excited to bring you these topics. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to, you can DM us on LinkedIn. You can email us. You can email hello@bluelightleadership.com. And we have so much more to bring you. We are excited to tell you more. We have a program next month called Leading with Emotional Intelligence. It's a group coaching program. You'll hear about that soon. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Sandy. Thanks for your great tips today. We'll see you next
It was
time.
great talking with you. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.